Cameras rolling.
Sound speed?
Call Slate.
This is the Sights and Sounds Podcast, a show all about learning and growing in your filmmaking journey.
Hosted by Courtney Hawley and Jonathan Everett. Season 1. Market. Action. Welcome, film friends, creatives, and curious people to the Sights and Sounds Podcast, a show built by filmmakers for filmmakers. I'm Jonathan Everett.
And I'm Courtney Hawley. We'll take you behind the screens as we share our industry experience,
Explore the art and business of filmmaking,
and help other creatives learn, grow, and thrive.
And along the way, we want to invite you to join us on our journey to making our first full independent feature film.
Sound fun? Then let's talk about making movies.
Welcome everybody to episode 1.
Episode 2.
Well, okay, episode 2. Episode 1 of not an intro.
Welcome to episode 2.
All right.
So, what are we talking about today? Let's do some thoughts, feelings, and impressions.
Thoughts, feelings, and impressions. Yeah,
what you got?
I was doing, I'm going to call it a thought experiment because that makes it sound intellectual, but really I just had a fun thought. And I wanted to share that and see what your answer is. So let's imagine that you have suddenly encountered a genie, the film genie, and this genie is going to grant you one movie. You get to make one movie with just about any budget. Budget is not an issue. You get to make one movie, but the conditions are you have to pick one living director to do that movie with, to co-write and co-direct with them. And you have to be doing an adaptation of existing material, whether that's a character, intellectual property, an existing movie. You have to do something like that. And here's the thing, you have to answer within 60 seconds.
Oh my God. That's so hard.
What would that be? Who would be your director and your character and why?
Oh my God. I was not prepared for this. Oh man. Okay. I want to do an adaptation of the play An Inspector Calls. And I want to work with Jon Favreau on it.
Ooh, interesting choice.
I think I don't know if you've ever read that play.
I've not.
Oh, I'm going to loan it to you. It is a beautiful thought piece. Very much of think of it as like butterfly effect. Like how do your actions and your words affect somebody who seemingly has absolutely nothing to do with you?
Yeah. Why Favreau?
Favreau, I think the man is brilliant. And I know that's like so overarching, like, okay, that's an easy answer, but he has taken like look at what he's done for Star Wars. He has taken something that was already finite. Yeah. You know, it almost seemed like Star Wars was...
It was one way.
Yeah, it was one way, and there was like, how do you do that differently? And he has taken and just flipped the script entirely. He's taken the little moments that we have always wanted and just magnified those, created beats where we never thought Star Wars could have beats. Yeah. You know, he has put some sort of living, breathing heart into
he's
something
truly
that
revitalized.
Yes,
and
I think that he could really see the little moments in that play and really animate them. He would be a lot of fun to work with on that, I think. But that's me. Okay, like you had this little thought, Genie, so like I'm gonna stick it on you.
Okay, all right. So I think my director. Let me go through the character. I think I would want to adapt a comic book character. Yes, I'm going to go with a comic book character here, but one that's never hit the big screen, like a true movie. Martian Manhunter. I would pick Martian Manhunter. John Jones, totally underrated DC character. And yes, I'm going DC. I love the MCU, but I would go DC with this. And for my director, my knee-jerk impulse would be James Gunn. That's who would pop to my head first. But I'd stop myself, and then maybe I'd go to Sam Raimi next. But I'd stop myself one more time, and probably right at that 59-second mark, I would probably blurt out the real answer, Robert Eggers.
Oh,
which is a weird choice, right? That's a weird choice.
So why?
But I mean, Robert Eggers has such a weird, stylized, elevated horror feel to his work. I mean, you've got The Witch, you've got The Lighthouse, and Martian Manhunter is a character that I think could play really well with a heightened horror element to him. Like I'm thinking this is not your typical DC superhero movie.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more like Matt Reeves' The Batman, who also would be a good choice if I thought of him. But
He had 2 minutes.
sticking with Eggers, yeah. Bringing that stylized horror, you've got a shape-shifting, phasing, telepathic Martian, and give him to Robert Eggers and me in this scenario,
gosh.
and you could have a true horror movie of a superhero, especially if you pick the right villain.
I just want you all to know that I've been sitting here with my jaw dropped the entire time. Like my mouth has been agape the entire time because who thinks of that? Oh my gosh.
Robert Eggers, if you're out there and you hear this, or WB, if you guys hear this and you like this, consider this my pitch to you.
Please.
For a movie.
I'm looking at you.
That would be exciting.
That's amazing. I love this little thought genie. I think this is something that we should bring back.
Revisit.
But it has to be as shocking and surprising and like
it's got to have constraints and a timer. Just like almost any good movie. Not every good movie, but just
anybody needs to animate like what our little thought genie looks like, and he just needs to like pop out on the
Oh, if any of you out there listening are really, really talented,
you're really good at that,
artists, and you want to send us that rendition.
What does that thought genie look like?
Rendering? Yeah. And you know, I think this might segue fairly well into our topic today, because in our thought experiment here, we have an unlimited budget and we're working with somebody who's very well established.
Yes, absolutely.
But our topic today is really about getting started, right? It's having presumably no budget, very, very little money to spend. And how do you do that? How do you get started as a filmmaker, whether you're an actor or a director or both, or a writer?
Yeah. So in that vein, to just kind of start off, what do you think is more important then? Do you think like gear and money is more important, or is practice and experience?
Oh, I mean, obviously gear and money is great to have, but nothing is going to beat practice and experience. When you're getting started, I think the most important thing you can do is create as often as you possibly can. If you don't have the money for that camera or that microphone, you shouldn't be asking or waiting. You shouldn't be waiting until you have those things. You shouldn't be thinking about things in terms, I personally think, you shouldn't be thinking in terms of, I can't do X, Y, or Z thing until I have X, Y, or Z piece of equipment.
Sure.
You should be thinking, how can I do some version of this thing that I want to do with what I already have? It's about innovation and practice and moving on to the next thing, so you've got more under your belt.
You almost fall into a scapegoat of sorts where I can't do this until I have this, when in actuality, you're just procrastinating actually making the thing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So how do we go about that then? You know, with what we already have? What is the average newbie filmmaker have at their disposal just on a regular basis?
Yeah. What can you do baseline for just about anybody? That's a great question. I mean, we live in an interesting time, and I'm not the first person to say this, and I definitely won't be the last. But
at a time,
you can. It sounds like I'm saying something really dramatic, but really what I'm talking about is cell phones. The camera that you have in your cell phone now is so much better, even
powerful,
than some of the top of the line cameras, as even maybe 5 years ago. That might be a slight exaggeration, but like,
no, I mean, I have a DSLR camera from, I think I got it when I was in high school, so it over 10 years old at least. And I went to go take some photos not too long ago for a friend, and I was actually appalled at the quality of those photos. When back in high school, when I first got that DSLR camera, they were gorgeous.
Yeah. So
my phone, especially in like portrait mode, takes a better photo than my DSLR at that point, which, you know, comparably, granted that's a 10-year-old camera, but like even certain cameras today are at least on par with the camera that's on my iPhone.